From the most terrifying vampire fish to a legendary river that can boil you alive, here are 10 of the scariest things found in the Amazon. Payara vampire fish. The Payara vampire fish is one of the most horrendous things ever found in the Amazon. This fish is absolutely terrifying. There are 2 species of Payara, with the largest being the silver Payara that weighs upwards of 35 pounds. While these fish aren't that large compared to a bull shark or something of that nature, they are that scary. They're called vampire fish for a reason. Just look at the massive fangs on them. They have a head about as big as a human's, and their teeth are long enough to do some deadly damage if you were ever silly enough to put your hand in the mouth of a Payara. These huge fish can be found throughout the Amazon, but are mostly located in the Rio Orinoco in Colombia. This is also the river that is home to the notorious pink dolphins. The trademark teeth of these vicious fish are used to impale their prey, which typically consists of smaller fish. You might also hear the Payara being called the saber-toothed barracuda, the vampire tetra, or the saber-tusked barracuda. Smaller Payara are super common in large aquariums and are known to be ridiculously aggressive. The boiling river. Deep in the Peruvian part of the Amazon jungle is a mysterious boiling river that kills everything that enters it. At least that's what the legends say. This place has been talked about in Peruvian folklore for centuries. There were even reports of Spanish conquistadors who ventured into the forest looking for gold, only to return with stories of poisonous water, man-eating snakes, and a river so hot that it could boil men alive. And yes, this place is real. A Peruvian geoscientist went searching for it in 2011, hiking deep into the Amazon rainforest. Much to his surprise, he found a boiling river. The average temperature reached a scorching 186 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not quite hot enough to boil a man alive, but it's definitely a great template for a scary legend. While geothermal hot springs are super common all over the world, with most of them reaching similar temperatures, this is the only place on Earth with an entire river burning hot. It's apparently 82 feet in length and roughly 4 miles long. It's also 434 miles from the closest volcanic system. Suffice to say, this Amazonian legend doesn't make any sense, but after 5 years of painstaking research, it turns out that the river is heated by underground geothermal manifestations. Basically, heat is brought to the river through fault lines and cracks, with the source of the heat a significant distance away. From much deeper in the earth is a great source of geothermal energy, and that energy seeps up through the ground until it reaches the river, where it then makes the water ridiculously hot. Tyrant king leeches. The Tyrant king leech is arguably one of the most disgusting and horrifying things found in the Amazon jungle. It's a leech with teeth that is often found inside the noses of people after they go swimming in the waters of the Peruvian Amazon. The leech is about the size of your pinky finger, and it's a serious bloodsucker. It has just 1 jaw, 5 teeth, and it's meaner than any other leech known to man. In fact, Wired claims that its 5 teeth are longer than the teeth on any other leech. It's known scientifically as Tyrannobedella rex, and it's not something you want to take with you after a short swim. The first specimen of the Tyrant king leech was found by a doctor in 1997 in Peru after a young boy who had been swimming complained about having a headache. Later, another specimen was taken out of a young boy in a different area of Peru, and a third from a 9-year-old girl. The thing they all had in common was that they had been bathing inside of streams in the Amazon. We now know that the Tyrant king leech hangs out in the water waiting to go up people's noses. It invades the orifice of your nose and then feeds on your mucous membranes. Some different kinds of leeches that do this live in the Middle East, in Africa, and in Asia, and we hate all of them. This is just another terrifying reason not to go wandering in the Amazon. The walking palm tree. Most of us know by now that plants are far more complicated than they appear. If you've ever taken a look at the Venus flytrap, which has the uncanny ability to eat live insects, you know that plants can evolve to be spectacular. And this brings me to my point. One of the scariest things in the Amazon is the walking palm tree. The story of this tree has been told for ages, with many people claiming the walking palm tree can literally move its unusual roots to walk. Of course, nobody is claiming it can stroll to the store and back, but they do say that it can move a little way when it needs to. The difference between the walking palm tree and other similar plants is that the tree has a lot of small roots that make it look like it has a bunch of little legs. However, these trees are not like the mighty Ents from the Lord of the Rings. They won't be smashing any castles, at least not for another few million years of evolution. While many people anecdotally say that the tree can walk slowly from shade to sunlight, it's actually not true. According to Live Science, these trees are greatly dramatized. The walking palm can't actually walk, its roots don't move in search of sunlight, and unless you're beating on it with an axe or blowing at it with wind, it's not going to move anywhere. It certainly can't pick its roots up and go for a wander. The reason so many people who operate in the jungle believe this tree walking myth is because sometimes the roots of the walking palm really do look like they're moving. Sometimes the roots on one side of the tree will die, giving it the appearance that it's moved in one direction or another. Poison dart frogs. One of the scariest and most dangerous creatures in the Amazon is something that looks entirely innocent. I'm talking about the deadly poison dart frog. Some people consider these to be the most poisonous animal in the world. Specifically, the golden poison frog, which is native to the country of Colombia, is one of the most frightening things on Earth. Just imagine a tiny frog that can easily fit on your finger and has enough poison in its skin glands to kill 10 human beings. And that's if the poison enters your bloodstream. It doesn't even need to bite you. You touch the skin, the poison ends up in your mouth or in a wound, and you're dead in 10 minutes. It's far more frightening than any snake simply because it's pretty much a promised death. There is also no known antidote. But here's where things with the poison dart frogs get weird. They don't create the toxin themselves. When taken out of their natural habitat and bred in captivity, they are not poisonous at all. In fact, they are just like normal frogs and completely safe to handle. This has led researchers to believe that the poison dart frog synthesizes toxins through what they eat in the wild. They basically steal their toxicity from eating certain insects. To understand why the frogs don't die from the toxins themselves, researchers from the State University of New York did a little bit of investigating, and as it turns out, it's all about an amino acid mutation. Basically, the frogs have full immunity to one of the deadliest poisons ever because of a special amino acid in their bodies. It is truly fascinating. The poison builds up inside of them and is discharged through their skin glands rather than them being poisoned. Mosquitoes. Perhaps the scariest thing in all of the Amazon jungle is the mosquito. Mosquitoes kill indiscriminately. They are literally everywhere in the jungle, and you can almost never stop yourself from being bit at least a little bit. In the Amazon rainforest, the major mosquito species carry all kinds of seriously nasty diseases. I'm talking about malaria, yellow fever, you name it. If you catch malaria in the rainforest because of a mosquito, you are going to need preventative medicine immediately. If you catch the dengue fever from a mosquito, there is no preventative medicine and you're in big trouble. Most people who have visited the Amazon would agree that there is nothing scarier than the mosquito. Snakes are definitely a danger, giant fish can freak you out, but mosquitoes kill for fun. Mosquitoes actually come with a super long mouth part that creates what is known as the blood-sucking proboscis. Adult mosquitoes usually rest in the daytime, so the best time to be out and about is during daylight hours. But once the sun goes down, they explode out of their hiding place and search for food. And guess what? If you're in the Amazon, you are the food. What a lot of people don't know is that tropical mosquitoes are actually in the same scientific order as the ordinary housefly. However, they are far more dangerous. It's believed that there are over 3,000 different species of mosquitoes, and they all live near water in the warmer regions of the world. And in case you did not know already, malaria is in fact the deadliest disease in all of human history. Bullet ants. Unlike mosquitoes, bullet ants won't kill you, but you will definitely wish you were dead when the searing pain from the bullet ant begins to take hold. The bullet ant has often been declared the most painful insect in the world. Out of every tiny creature that creeps or crawls, the bullet ant delivers the most painful sting. When one of them bites you, it's an experience that you will never forget for the rest of your life, and unlike some insect stings that hurt for a bit and then go away, when you're stricken by a bullet ant, the pain stays with you for between 12 and 24 hours. It's one of the longest miseries you will ever have to endure. The pain is so excruciating that some people have compared it to being shot with a very real bullet. According to a man that has been bitten by one of these horrifying creatures, the pain comes in giant waves and crescendos. It's like a tsunami of pain that crashes against you, recedes a tiny bit, then crashes against you again. And it goes on and on for what feels like an eternity. Some indigenous tribes in the Amazon actually use bullet ants in ceremonies where young boys become men. During the puberty rites, the boys will wear makeshift gloves filled with bullet ants, receiving multiple bites for a few minutes, and then they have to stand and endure the pain for the full 12 hours. In some societies, this is the only way to be accepted as a man. The only good news is that the pain does eventually fade and there are no long-term effects. Corpse flower. I can't think of a scarier name for a plant than the corpse flower. It's one of the largest flowers in the world, as well as one of the rarest. It also exudes an extremely terrible odor. If you came across one of these things in the jungle, I guarantee you would be awestruck and at least a little worried. The reason it's called the corpse flower is because the odor it emits is similar to what you might smell from a decaying corpse. According to an outdoor floriculturist from the Chicago Botanical Garden, the smell of the corpse flower is used to attract pollinators. The corpse flower attracts carnivorous insects that usually feed on dead flesh, such as dung beetles and flesh flies. The smell of the flower and its dark color are meant to imitate a dead animal. Then, when the fooled insects fly inside of the plant, they realize there is no food and they fly away. But they fly away with pollen on their legs, and the pollen eventually spreads across the forest floor so that more of these flowers can grow. After a single corpse flower has bloomed and fully pollinated, it collapses and dies. It's one of those plants that lives to multiply and then dies without doing much else. Brazilian wandering spider. Everyone is scared of spiders. You probably don't know a whole lot of people who would willingly hang out with a giant spider, or even a small one for that matter. And so it's only natural that one of the scariest things found in the Amazon happens to be the most poisonous spider in the world. This is the Brazilian wandering spider, also known as the banana spider. The Guinness Book of World Records has named it the most venomous spider in the world through multiple years. Not only does this thing look awful with its long legs and beady eyes, but it is extremely deadly. It usually only bites if it feels provoked, but that does not make anyone feel any safer. After a person is bitten by one of these horrifying spiders, the first symptoms are going to be extreme pain at the site of the wound, sudden sweating, and uncontrollable goosebumps. After 30 minutes, your blood pressure goes crazy, your heartbeat goes nuts, and your lunch goes out of your mouth. You can get hypothermia and vertigo at the same time, then begin to convulse. It's an absolutely horrendous experience that most people don't recover from. But perhaps one of the most bizarre things about being bitten by the Brazilian wandering spider is that, according to live science, the venom boosts a certain chemical inside the body that increases blood flow, and in human males it can cause a very long and very painful erection. That's probably the last thing you want while rolling around on the forest floor suffering because of a spider bite. The forest floor. Psychologically speaking, the scariest part of the Amazon jungle is the Amazon jungle itself. It's just like the old saying, there is nothing to fear but fear itself. And when you're deep in the rainforest, there is nothing to fear except the actual rainforest. In this case, I'm talking about the darkness of the forest floor. It has been estimated that only 1% of the sunlight actually reaches the floor of the forest because of how thick the upper canopy is. That creates a pretty horrifying environment no matter what time of day it is. If you're under the canopy, there's a pretty high chance that you're in total darkness. And guess what? That can cause even the bravest person to lose their mind, become paranoid, and have a mental breakdown. Which of the things on this list do you think is actually scary? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. See you again soon for another fantastic video.